staff to give you the green light on Keegan, but you have
Yeah.
2 practices with him. What's maybe the most encouraging sign with him right now?
You mean I had 2 practices like the time before, like when
Over
we
this,
practiced?
yeah.
Oh, I couldn't tell you if he made it through the whole first practice or not, but I think he made it through the whole practice today. So I guess that's encouraging.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's still kind of up in the air in terms of how going forward and what. I mean, I remember he talked to us on Monday how it was kind of come down to pain tolerance for him and things like that. Is it?
Yeah, I haven't talked to Keegan. I haven't talked to the medical people. So for me to kind of speak on it I mean, he got through the whole practice today. I didn't, I mean, just like, I don't know if he made through the whole practice before, but like I couldn't say, well, he looked this, or to me, he looked the same both times.
Cool. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to give you guys anything concrete on that. I'd be guessing.
Got you. Yeah.
How helpful will it be to get his positional versatility back?
Is what?
Positional versatility that he gives you guys.
No, I mean, anytime you're missing your guys, I think we beat Portland and Oklahoma City before Fox came back, and guys are out, next man up. Gives guys more opportunity to play, but at the end of the day, we want Foxy back. At the end of the day, we want Keegan back. So we're a better team with those guys at the end of the day. So anytime anybody's out, we love to have them back as opposed to continue to be out. But there's a process that we go through that we have to make sure that we adhere to.
Mike, Domas said that you guys, sort of the next step in your evolution on the offensive end is you're starting to take advantage of mismatches and trying to search out mismatches. Just how is that, like, trying to build out an offense like this where you're adding new layers all the time?
It could be good if it's done the right way, and so I'm real cautious, I guess, about that because we didn't do it much last year. But there are guys on opposing teams, just like there are probably guys on our team, that you want to make sure that they're working on both ends of the floor and they're not sitting there and not being as involved when they're on defense. And we have ways to do that in our flow, and hopefully our guys will be able to, as time goes on, to be able to pick that up on their own while in flow. Because the last thing I want to do is get up there and call plays. Hey, no, go on. I hate doing that, and I'm sure players hate that happening as well. So with the way that our offense is, especially with our flow offense, we can get everybody and anybody involved that we want to be involved and have to work, but we just have to be able to recognize where they are and pick it up on the fly so that it's seamless and we're still able to play fast while doing so.
Is that tough, like with growing pains in that area, like to keep guys like make sure they kind of see the bigger picture of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a group that hasn't experienced anything, and I said this at the beginning of the season, everybody thought that last year was a great year. It was okay. We did what we were supposed to do. We made the playoffs. But we got knocked out in the first round. And so, again, I will say for me, and I think for most guys in that locker room, if not all of them, at the end of the day, when they hear it that way, we wanted more than that. And we definitely want more than that this year. But it's kind of a catch-22 because everybody's saying how great we played last year. And so now if we do something a little different and it doesn't feel like it's working, it's like, well, what we did last year? Well, we didn't do what we wanted to do. We made the playoffs, but we didn't get past the first round. So it could be a little tough for some guys to kind of, I don't know, fully embrace right away. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that anytime you want to try to go from good to great, you're going to have to make changes. You can't just run it completely back the exact same way. And when you make those changes, sometimes you make drastic ones, sometimes you make small ones. But every time you make a change, you kind of roll the dice because it's either going to work or it ain't going to work. But you got to let it marinate and give it some time
When you look
before you make the change. So
When you look at some of these losses you guys have had, I think 4 of the 7 have been by 14 or more, a couple of big deficits the last couple of games. Has there been a common theme when you guys are struggling in these losses that you have noticed at all?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, we played 2 back-to-backs and didn't do well in the back-to-back situations. I guess that for sure is one theme. But then, on top of that, I mean, I think all the games we struggle to defend and we struggle to score. I mean, I know it probably sounds simplistic in an answer that most people don't want to hear, but that's just the truth of it. We couldn't get anything going on either end of the floor, and you have to be able to be good at one most times, and that's why, in my opinion, it's easier to defend because the shot's not going to always go in, even if you're moving the ball on the floor, spaced correctly, and all that other stuff. The shot's not going to always go in because one of the meetings I had was with our analytics coach, Robbie Lemons, and it was really, really good, and he said our shot profile is really good. We're taking the right shots. Well, you can take the right shots all you want, and if they don't go in at a pretty high level, at certain times it's going to be hard to win if you're not defending. And that's why one of the reasons that I liked our game against Portland, because we took some good shots. They weren't going in, but we found a way to get stops. And I think we won that 102, 100 or something crazy like that. And that's what it's going to have to take from time to time. You can always give the effort, communicate, do the things that you need to do defensively to try to get a stop. But you don't have as much control over whether or not that shot goes in.
That shot profile, does pace, speed, the way you guys want to play, and obviously it's kind of fluctuated. Domas was talking a little bit about that as well. Does that factor into some of those things as well with what he was showing you with the analytics side? And
yeah, I mean, we talked about everything analytically, and the one thing that stands out is our pace isn't good in the full court, and a lot of that has to do, we have a lot of guys wanting to come back to the ball and push the ball themselves instead of, last year we were great at recognizing, okay, who got the rebound, and if I was the nearest guy as I'm starting to break up the court, nobody else came back to get the ball. Everybody else sprinted to the corners, and we don't have a ton of guys that are running. They think they're running, but they're not running because they're just kind of looking back for the ball because they want the ball, and so it messes with our spacing and transition and our timing and a lot of other stuff too.
Domas had mentioned something about one of the themes being attention to detail.
Yeah.
Would that be more because of fatigue or more because of just really just not being focused coming into some of those losses that we've seen?
I don't know. You'd have to talk to him because I don't know what context like he kind of used it in and what he said before and afterwards. I know for us just as a group, one of the things that I had said to them is, in order to go from good to great, it's a lot harder. Like to go from where we are to a good team, it's easier because there's just so much. There's so many different things, so many areas you can improve in. If you improve a little here, you're going to be a good team. But now, once you're here, to try to get to here, you got to look for all of the inches or centimeters or millimeters and find ways the small ways to be better here, to be better there. And so one of the things that I've mentioned training camp dinner night, and I've mentioned before, is we have to lock in and focus on the details in order for us to make that leap, and that's on both sides of the ball. So I think that's big just in general. I wouldn't say that in our losses that's been the only common theme or factor of why we're losing.
Like Domas has had an up and down season. I mean, we're used to him being so consistent statistically, and that just hasn't been the case. And I know like the energy and the effort is still consistent, but the productivity hasn't been as consistent. Is there something that teams are doing to key in on him? Is there a way to help him out and take some of that stress off, or is it just he's got to fight through and we'll see how it goes by the end of the season?
No, there's some things that we because Domas is really, really good in the pick and roll game and the DHO game, rolling and putting that back shoulder into the defense and still finishing. But we have to, find ways to get ball reversals and then have that happen. Because a lot of times, and I walked through this with the guys at the beginning of practice, when you try to score on the front side of your actions and the defense doesn't move, now the defense is sitting there and it's taken away from Domus's steam rolling downhill because the big's already waiting for him, and then there's other bodies in there. When you move the ball from side to side, when you get ball reversals, the defense has to shift over here, then they got to shift back over here. Now you get to your pick and roll or your DHO action, and you got to cover more ground to come back and stop the ball or stop the roller, you know. And so trying to increase our ball reversals while our spacing is on point is something that we talked about before practice.
Do you feel like having a passing big of your own helps prepare for going against one, like with Jokic?
I never thought of it, but probably, you know, just like when we go live, we usually have 3 teams, and especially with Alex being out, our third team, you know, we rotate that 5 spot between Sasha and Trey, so it gives JaVale and it gives Domus an opportunity to guard, you know, pick and pop bigs, and so I feel that that's helped those guys in this situation and helped our team in this situation. So I'm sure to a certain degree, yeah, it probably helps too.
All right, thank you.
Niners, Eagles.